Yesterday was a moment in Washington where Speaker of the House Mike Johnson stepped up. He spoke plainly and straightforward about what the Democratic leadership is doing wrong. It was a wake-up call for conservatives. It was a reminder that the Republicans still have people and fighters who are willing to stand up and speak the truth. This is going to be a good one, so make sure you like, comment, watch to the end, and subscribe for daily news updates. It means the world to me, and don't forget to share. Johnson didn't mince his words about how the Democrats are behaving. According to his statement, on day 17 of the shutdown, his major point is that rather than reopening the government and doing the people's work, the Democrats are actually obsessed with spectacle over substance. He even pointed out that it appears that the Democrats were even cheering for the shutdown, as if this was a type of political theater and not an actual disaster. He even quoted Schumer saying something like, "Every day of this shutdown gets better for us." While families, federal workers, and everyday American people are paying the price, the Democratic elite, they are smiling. Why? Because it fits their narrative. It helps them win political points while still putting all the blame on President Trump. But the real standout is when Johnson dropped a bomb on Schumer. Let's start with this clip of Mike Johnson calling out Schumer about the continued government shutdown. Watch this.
Loophole. You know what they did in California? Gavin Newsom and the team out in California? They expanded Medicaid to cover all able-bodied illegal alien adults. These men who could be working or whatever. I mean, they're not even citizens, never intended by Congress. They put that on the tab of the taxpayer. And so we reversed it. Chuck Schumer would repeal that. He would repeal those repairs, and this is what it would cost you. Do the math. I won't go through each line, but it's on the website, speaker.gov. You can pull this up. It amounts to $192 billion, $192.8 billion. So almost $200 billion that Chuck Schumer wants to put back in. Also, by the way, while he's repealing our health subtitle, he would also repeal the $50 billion that Republicans put into the bill to support our rural hospitals around the country.
We can see the back and forth going on with the Democrats and the Republican. Johnson even pointed out Schumer's behavior on all of the reappeals they've been having for different funding and bills they're trying to get passed. Every time the Republicans do something or reverse something and put something in place, the Democrats will come back with Schumer and they'll take it away. They'll repeal it so it can't happen. And from listening to all of it, we can see that it's almost about $200 billion. That's the estimated amount that is getting taken away and paused and changed. And all that is doing is making the government shutdown last longer. I want to look at this clip of Mike Johnson finally exposing that the Democrats have voted 11 times to keep the government shutdown going.
Keeping count at home, we're on day 17 of the shutdown. The Democrats have now voted for the 11th time to keep the government closed. 11 times now. They've refused to just do their basic job, get the government going again, making sure that federal employees are paid, that our troops are paid, Border Patrol agents, TSA agents, air traffic controllers, and everyone else who relies upon the vital services of our federal government. They're being denied that because Democrats in Congress are playing games. And right now, to add insult to injury, if you're paying attention at home, you also need to make note of this. Yesterday, the Senate Democrats took it a step further. They rejected a standalone bill to fund our nation's defense and pay our troops. They voted it down. Now, why is that so noteworthy? Well, the bill was passed out of committee in the Senate with broad bipartisan support. And yet, the Democrats still engaged in a stunt on the floor, and they rejected it. So now they are on record specifically and exclusively to block the paychecks of the troops, to block the funding of our national defense in a very dangerous moment in world history. It is absurd to us. Leader Thune said this on the floor, on the Senate floor after that vote. He said, quote, "That one vote demonstrates just how fundamentally disinterested Democrats are in supporting our troops and providing for our common defense." Yes, that is exactly what we saw. And I suspect that if they were here today and it was on the floor, they'd do it once again.
After seeing that clip, I would completely understand why a lot of American people would be very angry right now. Johnson spoke how they've done this so many times, 11 times, and all the Democrats keep doing is rejecting everything. Their main goal of getting the government back running, that doesn't seem like a priority for them. The Democrats even went as far to reject a standalone bill that was completely made bipartisan to help pay and fund the troops. All Johnson is saying is that we need to be paying our federal workers, our troops, our border patrol, TSA, air traffic controllers, all of them. They're still the ones out here whose lives are being the most affected from all of it. While everyone in Congress, they're still getting their paychecks. They're still making their money. But the citizens who make America America aren't getting anything. Another point for me is that it's our troops that protect us. These are people who are outside of our countries and other countries on the defense line, making sure that us everyday people are safe. They should be getting paid. Because one thing for sure, all the ones in Congress, they're not going to go put their boots on in war uniforms and fight to protect us. Lastly, I want to look at Mike Johnson speaking today at the This Week interview about the No Kings protest.
The No Kings rallies. You called these Hate America rallies. What do you mean by that?
Well, that collection of folks that I listed were certainly part of it. We congratulate them on a apparently violent free speech exercise. I was a First Amendment lawyer for 20 years. We defend that right. But the irony of the message is pretty clear for everyone. If President Trump was a king, the government would be open right now. If President Trump was a king, they would not have been able to engage in that free speech exercise out on the mall, by the way, which was open because President Trump hasn't closed it. In the last shutdown, 2013 era, President Obama closed the National Mall. It closed all the national parks, didn't allow people to engage in all this. So, I mean, they needed a stunt. They needed a show. Chuck Schumer needs cover right now. He's closed the government down because he needs political cover, and this was a part of it.
We'll get to the shutdown, but just on this notion that these are Hate America rallies, and you not only talked about anarchists, Antifa advocates, pro-Hamas wing, and you said this is the modern Democratic Party. But I remember not that long ago what you said after the murder of Charlie Kirk, when you said that we should view fellow Americans not as our enemies, but as our fellow countrymen.
Yeah, I've never called anybody an enemy, but we call out...
Hate America rally or, Antifa, pro-Hamas, those are enemies.
Well, there were a lot of hateful messages yesterday. I mean, we have video and photos of pretty violent rhetoric, calling out the president, saying fascists must die and all the rest. I mean, I don't think that's loving speech. I don't think that's friendly speech. And I don't think it's pro-American to say those kinds of things. So it's not about the people. It's about the message. It's about the ideology. And I will stand here every Sunday and talk with you about the dangers of Marxism and socialism and how it's led to the literal death of tens of millions of people in the 20th century alone. It is a dangerous ideology, and it is anti-American. It goes against everything that we stand for.
But you're not saying that this is all of the Democratic Party. It's not all of the people that were out there. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Hillary Clinton referred to Trump supporters, or half of them, as the basket of deplorables.
I've never said that. I never said it was the whole Democratic Party. But you and I have to acknowledge the reality. Wait a minute.
So this is the modern Democratic Party.
It is, because look at the evidence. Look at what's happening in New York. They're about to elect an open socialist Marxist as the mayor of America's largest city. There's a rise of Marxism in the Democratic Party. It's an objective fact, and no one can deny it. We lament that. We decry it. We're trying to call it out because I want to make sure the next generation of Americans understands that is a dangerous road to go down. That's part of our calling. I think part of our responsibility as elected servants of the people.
After watching that clip, I can say that Mike Johnson, he hit a lot of key points. The first point I want to touch on is that he mentioned how President Trump is not a king. Because if he was, the government would be open and freedom of speech would essentially not exist. It wouldn't be there. If we were living under a monarchy and a kingship, we wouldn't have those chances to voice our opinions, to protest. That would not even be allowed, because what this king says is what goes. Johnson also said another point about why Schumer is doing this. He said he's using it as a cover. A cover, basically a distraction of everything that's going on. Taking away from the real issues and problems to have everyone's minds scrambled and not focused on the really important things. And for the American citizens, yes, protesting is fine. When you're being peaceful and you're speaking your opinion, that's good. But if the main problem is the government shutdown, why wasn't the protest named Open the Government? That's your main focus. You just want the government to get back open. You don't have to start entering things such as no kings and fascists and Nazis. You don't need to say all of those things are happening. You just need the government back open. But with all the distractions the Democrats have been presenting, it's going to confuse the people and influence them as well. They're going to do things that don't really show what the main message is for. We don't know where these protests will lead. And lastly, I do want to speak on what Johnson said about the protests being very anti-American and hateful. In my opinion, I wouldn't even call it pro-American, anti-American. It's all just very anti-human. We should not, as humans and people, be behaving like this. Violence plus violence is going to equal more violence. No peace is ever going to be found if it's so much of these clashes happening. And we just need to be people, humans, that can come together for the right message. And that's something I don't see happening in a long while. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on KW Lawaholic.